Hello all, welcome to my channel. In today's video lecture, we will be talking in detail about the reproduction in eukaryotic algae. Now, all the methods of reproduction can be classified under two broad headings, that is asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction comprises of some methods of vegetative propagation like fission and fragmentation, and it also comprises of spore formation. The sexual methods of reproduction are again of different types based on what type of gametes are combining with each other, and this is what we will be looking into in detail. Now, though the methods are diverse, in primitive algae, usually we see only the vegetative reproduction, but in higher forms, we can see even asexual methods of reproduction like spore formation and even the sexual methods. One thing to remember here is the difference between asexual and vegetative propagation is that in vegetative propagation, a portion of the thallus itself gets separated to form new individuals, unlike in asexual reproduction where there is a specialized cell being formed which is known as the spore, and that is giving rise to the individual. So though the two terms are used interchangeably, there is a thin line of difference between vegetative propagation and asexual reproduction. Let us look into what are the different methods. Under asexual reproduction, we have several methods which have been listed out, the common ones being fission and fragmentation. Fission is a method of division, especially seen in unicellular algae, where the algal cell will divide into two daughter cells. So the half of the original parental membrane will be retained and the other half is the missing half is being formed newly. This is called as binary fission, where one unicellular alga is going to give rise to two daughter cells. In multicellular forms also fission is being seen, but in multicellular forms or in filamentous forms, fission is not a method of reproduction, it is a method of growth. So that is how the filament is giving rise to a longer filament. A small fragment is giving rise to a longer filament due to fission because the cell is dividing and giving rise to more number of cells. So fission is also called as cell division, and this is seen in organisms such as all the unicellular organisms, for example Chlamydomonas, Chlorella, Euglena or Pleurococcus, and these are the organisms in which, as you can see over here, the fission has been shown. This is Euglena, which is showing longitudinal binary fission. This is transverse fission. The next method of asexual reproduction or vegetative propagation, which is very common, is fragmentation. Now, fragmentation is wherein an entire filament gets broken down into smaller pieces which are few or many celled. So, each of these pieces or each of these few or many celled segments of a filament is called as a fragment. And every fragment gives rise to a new filament by cell division or by fission. That is what I had told you earlier. So, all the filamentous forms tend to show fragmentation because here the filament gets randomly broken down into smaller pieces called as fragments, and every fragment gives rise to a new individual. Examples for this include Spirogyra, Zygnema. What the image that has been shown over here is of Spirogyra. We also have other methods of vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation, which is not seen in all the organisms, but it is seen in a few different algae. That is why it has been listed separately. The first one being adventitious branches. Now, these adventitious branches are called as propagules, and they are seen mainly in organisms such as Bryopsis or Sphacellaria. Now, in Sphacellaria or in Bryopsis, what happens is the organism gives rise to protonema-like branches in the internodes. So it is mainly seen in the internodes, but in case of Cladophora, it can also be seen in the stolon. But this is basically profuse branching which is being formed, that is called as adventitious branches or propagules. As you can see over here, these are the adventitious branches of Fucus. We can also see adventitious branches in Dictyota. Adventitious branches are seen in Cladophora. In all of these organisms, we can see adventitious branches, that is profuse branching can be seen in the organism. And the other one is bulbils. Bulbils is also a mode of vegetative reproduction which is mainly seen in Chara. Bulbils are basically bud-like structures which are found on the rhizoids. So these bulbils are bud-like and they are helping in the storage of food. So as you can see here, this is a bulbil, and in this bulbil there is storage of food, and that is why it is helping in the organism as a mode of reproduction. Or we also have rounded structures called as tubers, which are again abundant in starch or food material and helping in reproduction. Or we have amylum stars. Amylums are star-shaped structures. These are amylums. This is bulbil. These are amylums, which are star-shaped aggregations or star-shaped structures, again abundant in starch. So these are found on the lower nodes of Kara. So in Kara, this is the organism Kara, you can find either bulbils or tubers or amylums, all of which are abundant in some food material like starch, and that is how they are able to help in the propagation. So all of these are classified under the vegetative modes of reproduction. The next mode of asexual reproduction is the spore formation, and like I told you earlier, spores are specialized reproductive units for asexual reproduction. So they are exactly similar to that of the parent. They give rise to a new individual which is exactly similar to that of the parent, but they are specialized structures, they are reproductive units, and hence we call it as spores. They are produced either in the vegetative cells, like in case of Chlamydomonas, or in some organisms like Edogonium or Washeria, there are specially modified cells which produce these spores. So it can be either the specially modified cell called as sporangia can produce the spores, or the spores can be directly produced in the vegetative cells which give rise to the new organism. Now these spores can be motile or non-motile. All the motile spores are called as planospores or zoospores. So that is the first type of spores that I have shown over here. These are very common in green algae and they contain flagella. That is the reason they are motile. The flagella can be of equal length or unequal length, as I have told in my previous video lecture. And normally the cell is, or the spore is, oval or spherical, but again the shape can vary with every class or every organism. In red algae and in blue-green algae, we do not find zoospores at all. There is no motile spore in these organisms. But in other algae, especially in green algae, we do find many organisms giving out zoospores. So zoospores will contain flagella, and these flagella will help the organism or will help the spore to move around. Will help in motility. Now, based on the number of flagella, we can either have biflagellate or quadric flagellate or multiflagellate zoospores. Biflagellate zoospores are seen in Chlamydomonas, quadric flagellate zoospores are seen in Eulothrix, and multiflagellate zoospores can be seen in Washeria, where there are a number of flagella or a tuft of flagella. In Washeria, zoospore is the most common method of reproduction, but you will see with the other spores also, you will see the name Washeria coming up time and again because it does have other methods of reproduction as well. So these are some organisms which show the formation of zoospores. Another thing to remember here is the zoospores can be either produced by meiosis or they can be produced by mitosis. If the zoospores are produced by meiosis, it leads to the formation of haploid zoospores, that is called as unilocular zoospores. And if the zoospores are produced by mitosis from a diploid cell, then these zoospores also will be diploid, and the name for that is plurilocular zoospores. So this is something to remember about zoospores, that they can be either formed by meiosis or by mitosis based on the organism. The other type of spores are aplanospores. Aplanospores are non-motile spores. So planospore stands for motile and the opposite of it is aplanospores, which stands for non-motile spores. Now these are very common in terrestrial species. So again we have examples of Washeria, different species of Washeria like Washeria geminata, Washeria uncinata, or even we have other organisms such as Eulothrix, Microspora. All of these organisms produce non-motile spores, especially in the unfavorable conditions. So when the conditions are not favorable, though these organisms are known to produce zoospores, as soon as the conditions become unfavorable, they tend to produce the aplanospores or the non-motile spores. And this is seen mainly in case of terrestrial species, unlike zoospores, which is usually seen in case of aquatic algae. Aplanospores are seen in terrestrial species or in aquatic species under unfavorable conditions. So those non-motile spores with a thin wall are called as aplanospores. We also have hypnospores, which are also formed under the unfavorable conditions by algae. But here the difference is that in hypnospores, there is a thick wall being secreted around the aplanospore. That is why we call it as a different name, that is hypnospores. And these are perinating structures, which means they help the organism to tide over the unfavorable conditions. Very good examples of this include Protosiphon or Chlamydomonas nivalis. Chlamydomonas nivalis is an organism that produces red pigment or red snow, it is able to tide over the unfavorable conditions there due to the production of hypnospores. The next type of spores we see are echinids. Now, this is again a terminology that you will come in contact when you talk about or when you study about the blue-green algae. But echinids are also found in some eukaryotic algae. Now, echinids are also perinating structures, which means they are helping the organism to tide over the unfavorable conditions. In this case, the vegetative cell in a filament, the vegetative cell will lose water and contract or shrink in size to form a round or oval structure, and it gets accumulated with reserve food materials so that it thickens up. As you can see here, this is an echinid, and the echinid is rounded, it is spherical or oval in shape, it has accumulated all the food inside so that it can tide over the unfavorable conditions, and it gets surrounded with a thick cell wall. This structure is called as echinid. So it's very common in blue-green algae and also in green algae such as Pithophora, Cladophora, Edogonium, Eulothrix. In all of these organisms we can find echinids. Echinids can also be found in few other algae such as Pediastrum or even Washeria. So sometimes the entire cell gets converted into an echinid, usually in the dry and the hot weather, and when it becomes favorable, when the conditions become favorable, it germinates to form a new cell, that is a new algae, or a new zoospore, that is also possible. So these are some of the examples of organisms that show echinid production. The next type of spores are cysts and statospores. Cysts are formed in organisms, especially in filamentous forms. They are also acting as resting stages. They are multinucleate. For example, in protosiphon, we have cysts that are being formed, which are multinucleate structures. Again, they are secreted with a thick cell wall. That is why they are able to tide over the unfavorable conditions. Statospores are also similar to cysts. Only thing is that they are found in diatoms. So they have thick ornamental walls. The wall of the statospore is ornamental in nature. It can even have smooth walls, but the difference is that it is found in diatoms. So the cell wall composition is totally different. It has more of silica in it. That is why it has been given a different name as statospores. You find these mainly in diatoms. The cysts, if they are formed on the rhizoid of an organism, on the root-like structure of an algae, then such cysts are called as rhizocysts, as seen in Botrydium. So some of the examples of organisms which show cysts are Protosiphon and Botrydium, and statospores are seen in all the diatoms. We then have neutral spores. Neutral spores are spores which are formed by the protoplast of a vegetative cell. So when the protoplast of a vegetative cell acts like a spore, that is called as a neutral spore. When the time is right, the vegetative cell will get ruptured, the mucilaginous sheath will get ruptured, and the spore will be released. What exactly is the spore here? The protoplast itself is the spore. So the protoplast gets released in the form of a spore and behaves like a spore. That is why it is called as a neutral spore. This is mainly seen in case of Asterocystis or Ectocarpus. We next have the sexual reproduction. Now, one thing to remember here is whatever I have spoken about till now are all asexual spores. We do have several sexual spores which are restricted to certain groups of algae. For example, we have carpospores, tetraspores. These are spores which are sexual spores in nature, but they are restricted only to a group of algae like brown algae or maybe red algae. That is why I have not spoken about those spores under the previous spore formation, which is mainly related to the asexual modes of reproduction. When we come to sexual modes of reproduction, now this was first identified in eukaryotes more than 1.5 billion years ago. Why we need sexual reproduction is because it fights or it makes sure that there is no deleterious mutations that are accumulating. So when two individuals interact and give rise to a new organism, the deleterious mutations are removed from the population, and it increases the rate of adaptation of that population to the changing environment. It deals with the competition or adaptation for some repairing some DNA damage. All these adaptations are pooled or they are obtained only when the organism undergoes sexual reproduction. So it's very important, and it has been identified from a very long time. It's just that the sexual reproduction in algae is classified under different types, which we will be looking into now. So for sexual reproduction to occur, it does not always occur. For any organism to show sexual reproduction, there are a few parameters. The first one being there should be enough food material. It cannot happen under very unfavorable conditions. It needs to happen under favorable conditions where there is a lot of accumulation of reserve food material. Bright light has been seen as one of the major factors for production of algal gametes, because algae are photosynthetic, and it has been seen that for the algal gametes to be formed or to undergo fertilization, bright light is an important factor. Also, optimum pH and temperature is required for the organisms to form gametes and for the fusion of the gametes. So the gametes, the word I have been telling repeatedly, gametes are the sex cells which are produced by structures called as gametangia. So gametangia are the sex organs, whereas gametes are the sex cells. Gametangia are producing the gamete. So we have male gametangia producing male gamete, female gametangia producing the female gamete. And when these two male and female gametes fuse, we get the formation of a zygote. That process is called as fertilization. Now, there are different types of sexual reproduction, mainly isogamy, heterogamy, and aplanogamy. What are these types? Iso, like the word says, it means similar or same. So, isogamy is wherein there is no morphological difference between the gametes, and this is mainly seen in case of motile gametes. So, the motile gametes are released by the organisms and they fuse with each other. Both the gametes are morphologically similar. You cannot tell that this is male, this is female. They can be just identified as plus strain and minus strain based on their physiological characteristics. So, wherein the gametes are morphologically similar and only physiologically dissimilar, such gametes are, and when they fuse, such a type of fertilization or sexual reproduction is called as isogamy. This is usually seen in case of Eulothrix and Spirogyra. As you can see in the diagram here, both the gametes look similar. There is no visual difference between the two. Heterogamy, on the other hand, is fusion of dissimilar gametes. So here, the two gametes, that is male and female, can be starkly differentiated based on their morphology. Of course, physiologically, they will be different. Such a type of fusion is called as heterogamy. Now, under heterogamy, we have two more subtypes, anisogamy and oogamy. Anisogamy is wherein the gametangia is a modified vegetative cell and it is releasing a gamete, and we have fusion of dissimilar gametes, usually the larger passive one being the female gamete and the smaller active one being the male gamete. When these gametangia, that is the modified vegetative cells, are releasing the gametes and the two dissimilar gametes come and fuse with each other, that is called as the anisogamy, mainly seen in case of Chlamydomonas species like Chlamydomonas browni, Chlamydomonas nivalis, Polysiphonia. These are the organisms that show anisogamy. Oogamy is the most advanced or evolved type of sexual reproduction, wherein, and this is mainly seen in filamentous forms, wherein the sex organs are sharply differentiated. It is not just a vegetative cell getting modified into gametangia. No. Here you have a very well differentiated, very well distinguished sex organ, a male sex organ and a female sex organ. Usually the male sex organ is called as the antheridium and the female sex organ is called as the oogonium. So you have these two well differentiated sex organs which are releasing their respective gametes, and when such gametes fuse with each other, we call that as oogamy. So oogamy and anisogamy are parts of heterogamy because in both the cases the gametes are dissimilar. Examples of organisms that show oogamy include sargassum or even fucus. We also have another type of sexual reproduction, that is aplanogamy. Aplanogamy is basically conjugation. Now here there is fusion of non-flagellate gametes. So gametes which are not flagellated, they are amoeboid in nature. Such gametes, when they fuse with each other, that is called as aplanogamy. The thing to remember here is that again the gametes are similar in morphology, but they are dissimilar in their physiology. So such gametes, when they are fusing with each other in a conjugation kind of type of fertilization, that is called as aplanogamy. And this is seen mainly in case of conjugales order, that is the organisms which are related or which are belonging to the conjugales order of algae. Under those are the organisms, mainly includes Spirogyra or Zygnema. These are the organisms which show aplanogamy. So as you can see over here, we have two cells of different, which are morphologically similar but different only physiologically. which are fusing with each other or which are exchanging their genetic material. There is no proper gamete over here. That is why this type of sexual reproduction is called as aplanogamy, because there is no proper gamete. It's just two different cells which are morphologically similar but physiologically dissimilar, that are exchanging their genetic material. So this is just to show you the different types of sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction that we have spoken about today in algae. As you can see over here, different types of algal reproduction methods have been shown, like bulbils or adventitious branches, fission or fragmentation. All of these, this is just a summary to tell you what we have studied today. I hope it was this video lecture was useful to you all, and if you have any doubts, you can always get back to me. Thank you. See you all in the next class.